Portrait of a Lady on Fire is written and directed by Céline Sciamma, and it stars Noémie Merlan and Adèle Haenel. I tried very hard to get all their names right and pronounce them correctly, because I've gotten a lot of shit in the past about me not pronouncing names correctly, and it's rightfully so, and especially with this case, because all these women involved in this film are absolutely incredible and deserve to at least have their names pronounced correctly. So with that out of the way, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Portrait of a Lady on Fire wasn't necessarily a film that I was highly anticipating throughout the year. To be honest, this film really only hit my radar a month ago, maybe 2 months tops. But, yeah, this film wasn't on my radar for very long, and when I heard about it, I heard that it was getting raving reviews out of film festivals, but a lot of films get a lot of raving reviews out of festivals. But don't get me wrong, I didn't go into this film with low expectations. I mean, I went in with somewhat high expectations, but they weren't like sky high expectations. But I went into this film, expecting a pretty good movie. And oh, by the way, this film isn't released widely in America yet. I think it comes out in February for most Americans. I saw it because I have my ways and I just couldn't help myself, and I really wanted to watch this film. And guys, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Anybody who watches my channel and has followed me for a while knows that I tend to give it straight. And even if I go against the grain sometimes and get shit for it, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. So, after watching this film was absolutely fantastic in every sense of the word. I mean, this is an astonishing piece of filmmaking. And I mean that with every ounce of my soul. This film exceeds on every level of filmmaking. And the reason why I think this film is absolutely masterful is because basically it meets every expectation that I would want out of a masterful piece of filmmaking. The aesthetics of this film is mind-bogglingly gorgeous. I mean, every frame of this feels like it could be a painting. I mean, just by observing what I have here in my background, I think you can get a little taste of what this film has to offer in terms of camera work. This film is just beautifully shot. It just feels so, and on top of it just being beautifully shot, it feels so authentic. It feels so genuine when you're watching it. It doesn't feel like it's trying so hard to make it look pretty. It just feels so incredibly natural. And, on top of that, the score choices in here, there's not much score in this film, but the music choices that are made in this film are just so emotionally captivating, and they're so thematic as well, like just to the overall themes of the film and to the characters as well. And I just loved those aesthetic choices for the film. And, on top of that, the performances are absolutely incredible. This contains the best acting performance from a female actress that I've seen all year. I gotta give gigantic props to Adèle Haenel, because her performance in this is so emotionally engrossing. And she gives the performance, there's something that she does at the very end of this film which just demands so much talent out of her. And, huge props to the film direction, too. I mean, the direction from Céline Sciamma is something out of this world. I need to see what else she's done, because this film has kind of proven that she is excellent when it comes to film direction. So, before I really get into that, the ending to this film requires a subtle yet powerful performance from her. And Adele she gives it her all, and it's just so emotionally captivating. And it yanked a bit of tears out of me just from the performance alone. And it just, I don't know, her performance and this film overall just really struck an emotional chord with me. And, that's just a big thanks to the direction, huge props to the acting in general. And also, me saying this, I'm not trying to downplay the other actresses in this film as well. Noémie, also gives a great performance in this film. And by the way, I don't want to talk too much about the film's plot. I usually don't in my reviews. I don't like to really dive too much into the plot, because I feel like, if there's one thing that I kind of leave open when you're watching this, it's the plot, because I want you to go into it not knowing that much about the story, because it just helps. One film that I will slightly compare it to in terms of plot is The Handmaiden, but, it is vastly different from The Handmaiden, like way different. But it does have a similar setup in a way, and as much as I love The Handmaiden, everybody knows who has watched my review for The Handmaiden, I think that film's a masterpiece. I gave that film a 10 out of 10. But there's something about A Portrait of a Lady on Fire that sends so many strong, emotional, and thought-provoking messages without really doing too much. This film is incredibly subtle, but also just powerful and thought-provoking at the same time. I was reading a comment the other day from one of my subscribers named Divian Joshi, and he mentioned that, The Handmaiden is a fantastic film, but it does rely a lot on the power behind the twists of the film. And, that can kind of be lacking in its rewatchability because the film might not have much of an impact because of the over-reliance on the twist aspect. But Portrait of a Lady on Fire doesn't really rely on that. It doesn't rely on having some, big M. Night Shyamalan moment where it's like, oh, what a twist. It doesn't rely on an overly shocking narrative. It just relies on its beautiful yet subtle film direction, just the gorgeous aesthetics of this film, and the emotional punch that it packs as well. And also the performances, because the performances are something that really elevate this film to a whole other level. And the casting is also huge in this film because you can tell when you're watching it that if they didn't get the casting correct in terms of what they wanted their characters to appear and look like, it might not have had the same kind of emotional impact. This is also an incredibly artful film as well. There are a handful of moments in this film that have some sort of symbolic foreshadowing that I don't want to say are totally confusing, but they are kind of head-scratching at the moment when you're watching it, and you can't tell if that was like reality or what the hell you were watching, but when you realize what that was for, when it's somewhat revealed later on in the film, you can't help but think that, wow, this film had so much time put into it and had so much effort put into what she wanted to convey into the story and the themes and the characters. And it's just, this film is incredible, guys. Pretty much on every single phase of filmmaking, this film is absolutely incredible. And I really can't praise this film enough. There's absolutely nothing about this film that I can really criticize, because this film, I feel like it achieved exactly what it wanted to do, and it did it perfectly. And again, performances, absolutely outstanding. The direction in this is incredibly impressive. I mean, this is next level shit in terms of film direction. And I really want to go back and see what else that this film director has done, because this was incredibly impressive to me. And I also can't wait to see what she does in the future. And it is a little saddening because I did hear that France, they had a choice between picking this film or this other film called Les Miserables, in terms of putting it up for best foreign film for the Oscars. And I haven't seen Les Miserables, but from judging how masterful that this film is, I can't see Les Miserables being more deserving than Portrait of a Lady on Fire, because this was just mind-blowingly emotional in every sense of the phrase. And I highly recommend everybody to see this film. I thought it was absolutely incredible. So I'm going to give Portrait of a Lady on Fire a 10 out of 10. The only film that I gave a 10 out of 10 previously was Climax, so yeah, I don't give perfect grades out often at all. I do give out high grades somewhat often, I tend to give a lot of movies 9s and 8s, but I very rarely actually give a film that perfect grade. But there's absolutely nothing about this film that I thought was lacking or anything that I would change. This film I just thought was incredible in every aspect of filmmaking, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. I don't know when, most of the people watching this are going to be able to watch it, but I am highly anticipating everybody's feedback on this film and, in terms of what you guys have to say about it. So, yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And stay tuned for my top 20 best of 2019. Yes, I said it, top 20. I know before that I said I was going to do a top 16 or top 15. I don't know what I said. But I was looking through my list and I'm just like, there are so many astonishing films this year that I would just feel downright immoral if I didn't include some of these other greater films that didn't make the top 15. So I'm going to stretch it out to a top 20 because I really want to talk about all the great films that came out this year. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to try my best to get that out by either next weekend or the next weekend. I'm trying to get it out as soon as possible because I have to watch 1917 this upcoming Thursday. So I'm going to get a film review out for that with the boys. And then maybe if I try hard and work really hard, I can get that top 20 video out by that same weekend. So stay tuned for all that. I got lots of content for you. And after that, it's going to be a lot of fun Oscar stuff. And we're also going to do a top 15 of the decade list with the boys. That's also going to be a live video as well. So got a lot of really fun stuff for you guys. So make sure to stay tuned for all that content. I would love to have you for all that. So yeah, that's all I got to say, guys. If you really enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.